If you've ever watched any amount of competitive Rainbow Six Siege, which by the way, if you haven't, you definitely should, you would have heard of the casters use the phrase map control, taking map control, regaining map control, or the attackers have all the map control they need to execute, and you may have thought, what do they mean when they're talking about map control? What does this term mean? Well, they're talking about the areas of the map that either the attackers or defenders have control over.
Nope!
Well, that's it for today's video, see you next time everyone. Okay. Maybe there's a bit more to it. What map control means for a team, what areas of the map you should be focusing on, and how you can learn good map awareness and good control over the map, and everything else is bundled in with it. Hello internet, my name is Nebulous, let's get into it.
Details.
Before we get into today's video, if you like the content I create on this channel, please feel free to subscribe and ring that notification bell. And if you think your friends would enjoy and like my videos, maybe even learn a thing or two, then feel free to share it with them as well. It would be greatly appreciated. So, let's start with the basics. What is map control and what does it mean? Well, let's start with a defense point of view, since once we understand the defense portion, we can extrapolate out for everything else we need to understand. So, I know I was having a bit of a laugh in the intro of this video, but map control is quite literally the areas of the map that a team controls. Now, for defense, this is going to mean wherever your team dedicates its utility to stall out the attackers. Let's just use Coastline as our example here. If you're defending the kitchen service bomb site, it's not uncommon to extend your defense out into the front lobby and up into the penthouse and theatre rooms, using some reinforcements, maybe a deployable shield, an ADS or two, all in the attempt to deny the attackers control over the top floor. Now, I find that in a lot of situations, players will do these extended defenses without knowing why, or what they're actually doing, or what they're trying to accomplish. They simply play these strats because they've seen their favourite pros or content creators utilising them. But understanding these defense strategies can go a long way to understanding the map and how the map plays out, and having better game sense overall. So going back to our example of that top floor kitchen service defense, why is extending your map control out into the lobby and up into theatre actually effective? Why on an Oregon basement defense do you extend out into the blue bunker and maybe out into the freezer? This brings us to our first point of the video, which is key positions on a map. Now if that sounds a bit confusing, a very easy way to understand this concept is to imagine each round as if you've got a set of objectives to achieve in order to plant the diffuser and win the round. The defender's job is to prevent the attackers from completing these objectives, so looking back to Coastline, when defending kitchen service, because the ceiling is fully destructible, the floor above the bomb site is incredibly valuable for the attackers to gain control of. If the attackers control the area of the map above the bomb site, they can clear out the positions of the defenders down below a lot easier, which makes planting the diffuser significantly easier. So let's talk about all these objectives and why they're important. On attack, your first objective of the action phase should be to take control of an area of the map that will allow you to cut off the rotation and flank potential of the defenders. Looking at that same Coastline kitchen service attack, you'd want to enter the map through Hookah and the Aqua Bar so that you can take control over the Cool Vibe stairs. The reason for this is that so you can limit the areas which the defenders can use to flank your team. As well, taking control of these key points on the map will allow you to set up to get done whatever it is you need to do. By taking control over Cool Vibe stairs, you can more safely move into VIP to perform vertical destruction down onto kitchen. This is also why operators like Nomad can be very strong on certain maps, because if you remember what I said before, the defender's job is to deny attackers map control and vice versa. By taking control as an attacker, you force the defenders to try and roam and try and to flank. This is where operators like Nomad, or even using claymores, can be used to cut off these rotations, and you can lay in wait to catch these defenders roaming to try and flank your team. So you've made it inside the building, you've taken the initial map control and cut off some defender rotations, and at this point you should have about 1.5 to 2 minutes left in the round. It's important to note here that if you haven't cleared out any of the roaming defenders, that this will likely be when the defenders start to rotate through the map to begin to counter your attack and to start to flank your team. This is why it's important to control as many points of rotation for the defenders as possible, whether this is drop down hatches or this is staircases. If you moved into the map and taken control over the Cool Vibe stairs, it's likely that the defenders will try and rotate up the white stairs, but by denying the defenders cool vibes, you have a simpler time to counter the roaming defenders, because you've given them only one route up the top floor. The same goes for maps like Clubhouse, where likely defenders will be roaming on all 3 floors of the map, and if you can enter the map and take control over the main stairs and lounge areas, then you can safely execute all of your self-destruction inside of kitchen or stock or wherever you're trying to play. To quickly recap your ideal round so far, your prep phase should be spent droning and figuring out where the defenders are planning on setting up, where they're going to be roaming, and where they're trying to hold. The first minute or so of the action phase should be spent finding entrance into the building, picking out any early roamers if you come across them, and cutting off the defenders' rotations through the map. Once you have control over these key points on the map, your team can start to put work into the bomb site. This is generally where you can expect roamers to try and flank your team, which is why we take the control over these points of rotation, so we can limit where we can expect these roamers to come from. By now, there should ideally be 45 seconds to a minute left in the round. Your team should have taken your map control, maybe gotten one or two of the roaming defenders, done your vertical destruction down onto the bomb site, and now you've got enough time to set up for your execute onto the bomb site. Execute, a word which basically means using all of your utilities such as Zofia stuns, smoke grenades, flashbangs, Ying candelas if you're bringing a Ying, in order to get into the bomb site and plant the diffuser. This is where we go back to our earlier point about having a general idea of where you want to plant the diffuser at the start of the round. By knowing where you plan to execute onto the bomb site, you can better structure the previous objectives of your round so you can limit your wasted time and hopefully get the most out of every second and every minute of the round. If you know from the prep phase or at least early into the action phase that you want to try and execute in through the kitchen window to plant the diffuser, then you can figure out that you need control over VIP, Sunrise and Blue Bar, and the courtyard. Knowing this can allow you to spend more time setting up for what you actually need to achieve in the round and not wasting time clearing areas of the map that won't actually help you. Once you've planted the diffuser, it's simply a case of getting into decent post-plant positions. You should ideally know where all of the remaining defenders are located, or at least have some kind of vision on their last locations, and it should be a case of just winning your gunfights at that point. I think if I can hammer home one point from this video, that would be to go into each round with some kind of plan of what you want to do and what you intended to accomplish. This way you'll be able to maximize your time spent during the round, and hopefully not wasting time running around the map hunting roamers or sat on the roof baiting for kills to then flame your team that they suck. Just don't. Just help your team. Just play as a team. Please, just don't be that guy. Anyway, that about wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed the video or learned something, please remember to like the video, and if you didn't, then dislike. I do want to apologize for my lack of uploads recently. I must admit, this last season I have felt slightly burnt out on Rainbow Six, which is why I've been streaming more, which if that takes your fancy, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday over on Twitch. And with the new season, Operation Shadow Legacy, I'm looking really forward to grinding the game again, so you can fully expect more content in the coming weeks over on YouTube. In the meantime, feel free to join our community Discord where members from the community can hang out, play games together, and get to know each other. If you're interested in any or all of the aforementioned things, links are as always in the description down below, and as always, happy gaming.